after each of these activities in the SAP screen how they are to be performed. Let's see and move on to the SAP system and see each of these transactions as a day-to-day end activity part, how they has to be performed. So if we talk about verification of cash balance, I think even if you could remember that we did cash journal, and in cash journal we discussed how a cash transactions are posted and how the opening and the closing balances can be looked in FBCJ. So if we execute this transaction FBCJ in the SAP screen, let's see, FBCJ, enter. So when we execute the transaction FBCJ, it gives you the closing balances for the day. It could be for the week, or even if you want, you can take it for the whole current period. So if I take it for the whole, for that particular day, it shows you that for that particular day what is the opening balances, what are the different transactions that took place as a part of cash receipts, check receipts, or cash payments, and ultimately you get to know the closing balances for the same. So this is one of the way out of looking after the closing balances for day-to-day part. Now if you want to see what are the total cash transactions took place in the whole current period, in that case you need to assign the date over here, from and to, and then you can check after the dates, and it can give you an overview of what are the different transactions took place in the month of April April 2014. So you can see over here we have taken the dates, and as you enter on it, you will find the balances now, that for the month of April 2014 the opening balance used to be this much. Then this is your cash receipts, this is your check receipts as 0, and then the cash payments are on the screen, and ultimately it shows you the closing balances for the same. Now if you're dealing with INR, it will show you the balances in INR because the company code currency is in INR, and if you have the currency as USD, then it will reflect you in the USD part. Now suppose we change it to a different company and want to see for a different company with a different currency maintained. Let's see, changing the company code. If you think that your company code is not correct, you can go and you can change that for your respective company code as well. So as said, you can change your company code in case your company code is different from over here. You can select your company code and respectively click on to the enter, and your company code balances will be reflected to you. So similarly you can have the details of the reports as you wish to have, and it will show you your cash balances for that particular period, whether it could be for the day or whether it could be for the current period, or probably it could be for the current year as well. So it's up to you how you want that particular reports to be executed and to be looked, and the report will be accordingly reflected to you. So as you can see, I have executed the report for the whole fiscal year 2014 from April 2014 till March 2015, and the opening balances is there. There is a cash receipt, there is a cash payment, and then you can see the closing balances for the same. So this is what the first activity you need to do, that you need to do the verification of your cash balances which has been lying with you, and in the SAP system both are reconciled to each other. Now moving up to the next transaction, that is updating the exchange rate. So updating the exchange rate basically refers to updating the foreign currencies exchange rate which has been done with your particular country's currency. So what you need to do is you need to go to the transaction OB OB08 for maintaining the exchange rate. Now it could be the exchange rate could be that your company code or your country currency basically is dollar. So if you do the transaction of with any of the European country, then you need to maintain the exchange rate for euro, and if you are doing a transaction with a Japanese country, then you have to maintain yen, and accordingly the different currencies to be maintained. So we need to go to the transaction OB08, enter. So this is the screen coming up on the screen to you, and in this you need to maintain the exchange rate. As you can see, USD, EUR, that is European currency, and similarly if there is any different currency that need to be maintained. So suppose for example I move up over here and I maintain the currency as M, that is the average currency. We did this particular part even earlier when we did the foreign exchange revaluation. So you can even go back and you can refresh yourself at what this exchange rate type basically refers to. Then M basically refers to the average price of the currency. Now from and to currency refers to from which currency you want to transfer or you want to maintain the value with. Suppose I maintain it as USD to EUR, euro, enter, and as I maintained, you can see there are a number of different values already maintained on the screen, and if you want to maintain the same for the current period, then you can select any of them. You can go to new entries. You need to copy the screen. So what we need to do is, again we need to go back and have to maintain M, USD, EUR, enter. Now what we can do is we can select one of these and we can copy it. As you will copy it, now you can change the date for which you want to maintain the rate. That means the valid from date. So whatever the rate you will be maintaining USD against the euro, this from a particular date, from that particular date, this particular currency conversion will be applicable. So suppose I maintain it as 1st of April 2014 and I maintain the exchange rate over here as 1.5. That means 1 US dollar is equal to 1.5 euros. Enter. So this rate has been maintained over here now, and whatever the different transactions will take place now between USD and euro currencies, now from 1st of April 2014 onwards, all those transaction values will be taken as 1.5, and accordingly your euro will be converted to dollar at the rate of 1.5 per euro. So this is how you need to maintain the exchange rate, and then you need to save this screen. And once you save this screen, those particular transaction will be saved in it. So we can do the same thing over here. So this is how we need to maintain our currencies. Similarly, every day, if your country's your particular company has got number of different transactions where there is a need of maintaining the foreign exchange rate, every day you need to visit this particular transaction and you have to maintain the transaction rate. However, in most of the companies this has been done at month-end activity, but in many of the multinational companies, or in any case if it is a banking or an NBFC bank, NBFCs, different companies like banks or financial institutions, in those cases the currency rate need to be maintained every day. So similarly you can go and you can maintain further more of such kinds, like if you want to maintain now for the USD to INR, that is dollar to Indian rupees, then even you can maintain that as well. So you need to go up over here and you need to maintain, as you can see it has been maintained over here, that for $1 is equal to 50.69 rupees. So $1 is equal to 50.69 rupees is the conversion ratio which has been maintained. Now suppose if you want to maintain it to the current date, you can move up, you can copy one of these transactions. You can change the date from when you want this particular rate to be applicable. Suppose I make it as 62.15 and I want this to be applicable from 15th of April 2014. So now from 15th of April 2014, $1 will be equal to 62.15 rupees, and whatever the different transactions which will be posted in dollar terms will be automatically converted at this particular exchange rate in INR part. So this is how you need to maintain the currency rates as a day-to-day activities part. Now enter, and the rate is maintained over here. You can see the number of entries have been copied, and now you can save the screen over here. So once you saved, the data is saved. So this is how you can update the exchange rate on a day-to-day basis activity part. Now let's move up to the next, that is gaps in document number assignment. Gaps in document number assignment basically refers to sometimes certain documents are skipped, the numberings are skipped when we do posted transactions. For example, you can take that whenever we make any posting of transactions in SAP, whenever you post a transaction, SAP gives you a document number. At times it happens that sometimes the system internally skips few of the numbers and move up, and those numbers are left blank. It happens in a very rare cases. It doesn't happen as a day-to-day part. You will find a very few cases in a very rare companies, but yet you need to check whether is there any gap in the document number assignment, means is there any number skipped internally by the system due to some or the other problem. So that need to be looked, and for that this is a particular special standard report provided by SAP, that is S_ALR_870-12342. So this particular report will let you know if there is any gap internally in the system and that particular number has been skipped and has not been generated to any of the transactions. So to have a look of that, let's post that particular transaction. So it is S_ALR_870-12342. Enter. As you can read the heading of the report, gaps in document number assignment. So to find the gap, you need to assign the company code, and then you need to assign the fiscal year for that. And if you know that number range or a particular document type for which you are looking for the same, you can assign that. And you can even move up to the output parameters. It says display numbering gaps starting with specific fiscal year only. So if you want for a particular fiscal year, you can take that particular fiscal year over here. And if you want the display gaps only, you can select, and that particular gap will be reflected to you. So now we can go and we can execute this report. And as we execute, you can see now on the screen that list contains no data. List contains no data means there is no gap of such types in the system. So this is what you need to do. You need to check as a day-to-day part, or even this can be done once in a month activity part as well. It's depend upon organization to organization how they want to take it with. So this is how you can execute this report, and you can check whether any numbers have been left. So you can see over here every number has been generated. You can see Now once I have taken this off, display gaps only, I have taken this tick mark off, then it shows all the document number. That means these are the different document number which has been used, but there is no gap in them, no gaps, as you can see. And if I want to see only the gaps, to be very specific, I can select display gaps only and I can execute the report. So once I do that, you can see there is no transaction, there is no document number. That means there is no gap in the transactions, in the document numbers. So this is how you need to check whether there is a gap in the document number assignment or not with this particular transaction. Moving to the next is invoice numbers allocated twice. Now, as you know that whenever we receive invoices from the vendor, we do post those invoices in the SAP system, and the invoice number is been taken up in the reference field. For posting vendor invoices, we use the transaction FB60, or from the MM side MIRO, that is MIRO is word used. So these are the two transactions, FB60 or MIRO, which has been used for invoice posting with respect to vendors. One particular vendor cannot have two same invoice numbers, because that particular invoice is coming from the same vendor. That means that particular vendor must not be repeating the invoice number. So in a rare case you want to check whether the invoice number has been allocated twice to any of the invoices in that vendor, you can check that with this report which says S_ALR_870 12341. So if you execute this report into the SAP system, and we can see that whether a particular invoice has been entered in the system twice or not. So to execute the report, you need to fulfill the parameters over here. We need to take the company code. We need to take the fiscal year for which we want to check the same. And if you know the particular posting date for which we want to check the same, you can assign the posting date to it as well. Suppose I take the month of April, that is 1st of April 2014 till 30th April 2014, for which I want to check whether there is a twice, or whether the invoice number has been allocated twice or not. Now there could be two things. If the invoice has been allocated twice, that means it could be the same invoice have been posted twice, or it could be that there are two different invoices but the vendor has left the invoice number same in both the invoices. So what is the case? That need to be checked. Now, so once I have taken this, if you want to check it for a particular vendor, you can take the vendor over here as well. Like I took the vendor as 2000, that is the vendor code. And if you want to check it for all the vendors, you can leave the vendor field blank. You just need to select the vendor check mark over here. So now moving up, even if you want to have the same amount or for different amount, you can even decide that whether it should have the same document date or a different date. Even that can also be taken. So you can have all the options. Whether I know that the two invoices could be of the same amount, then I can select the same amount check mark over here as well. But I am not sure whether it will be of the same amount or it could have different amounts. So I can leave that particular checkbox blank, and now we can move and we can execute this report. So executing the report now, as you can see, no invoice numbers assigned twice. So you got the message over here that for that particular vendor the invoice has not been assigned twice. But suppose I take this particular vendor off from over here, and now I want to execute it for all the vendors. So I execute this report with the checkbox selected over here as vendors, taking the same company code, fiscal year and the posting date, and now executing the report. Even in that case, you can find that no invoice numbers assigned twice. So you need to take care of this. If you find that any of the vendor has been assigned the invoice number twice, that means you need to check back those invoices whether the same invoice has been punched or posted in the system twice, or what is the case it may have. So this is one of the another day-to-day end activity part. And the last activity which could be one of the activity in date and closing is display compact document journal. Now what happens is we post numerous transactions in a day in SAP system. At the end of the day, the company wants to have a print or a report to know that what are the different transactions posted in the system for that particular day as a compact report. So the company doesn't want, or the manager doesn't want the report to be printed, each and every document to be printed separately, but he wants a compact report where in a consolidated way he can come to know what are the different transactions that have been posted on a particular day in the SAP system. So to have that, you have the report S_ALR_870122289. This report gives you an option to have the list of transactions posted on a particular day, on a particular month, or maybe on a date range as you want, or as the company wants to see. So how we can do that? Let's execute the report. So as I have taken the report over here, enter, and you can see now the screen of the report, it says compact document journal. In this we need to take the company code, then we need to take the fiscal year over here as 2014, and now you have the option of the posting date, from which to which date you want to see the reports. Suppose I want to see the report for a particular day, that what are the different transactions did posted in the system. So I assign the date from April 1 to April 1 2014. In the further selection part, you need to select the standard documents. There are a number of different documents over here: standard document, park document, statistical documents, sample documents, reckoning entry, original documents. So what you need to do is you need to take the report for the documents which has been posted in the system. So for that you need to check mark this standard document, and in case you want the park document list, you can go to park document and you can get the list of all the parked documents as well. So we will be taking up only the standard document, the document which has been posted in the system and which has their financial implications. Moving up to the output control, we don't need to select any of these output control in the system. Nothing else is to be needed. Just we need to put the company code, fiscal year, posting date, and then need to select the standard document. Now executing the report, and we'll see what are the different documents posted on this date. So as you can see, the screen output has been displayed to you. This is the document number, this is the company code, the document number, the year, then the document type, the posting date, as you can see over here, and then these are the ledger accounts which has been debited and credited. That is, the posting key 40 refers to debit and 50 refers to credit. And even you can find the document number on the right side, even on the left side over here on the screen. You can also find the username from which the transactions been posted. So similarly, if you go down, you can further find a lot of different document number, and their details, what has been debited, what has been credited. So these are the different transactions as a summary being reflected to you, that you don't need to go and have to print each and every document, but just as a summary, this report gives you the summary of that particular day, the different transactions being posted into the SAP system. So even you go down, if we move on and we move down, you will find a lot of documents been posted with different document number, with different document type. WA, which refers to goods receipt. If you go down, WE refers to gate entry. If you move down, RE refers to the invoices being made from the module side. Even you can see the K refers to the vendor, and 2029 refers to the vendor code. So vendor number has also been reflected to you, and the text code is there, then the amount is there to you as well. So similarly, you can see at the end you will find the summary of the detail over here as well, that the total number of ledgers been debited, credited, the customers been debited, the vendors been debited and credited. So this is a report which is very helpful at times to have a summary of the particular day, or for a particular week, or even for a particular month. So moving back to this report, even if you want, you can run this report as you want, giving the posting date from and to. If you want, even you can run the report for a particular month from April 1 to 30th of April as well. It's up to you how your company wants and what kind of a reports they want to take up with. So you can have a day-to-day report from this, and even you can have a month-to-month or a weekly report accordingly. So this is with respect to the standard document, in case there are any documents which has been posted in the system. But in case there are parked document, I hope you remember what does a parked document refers to. A parked document refers to a document which has not been posted but has been parked due to certain doubts or confusions, or maybe the entry is not complete. So you don't want to go back and post the entry from the very beginning, but in the meanwhile you want that particular transaction to be saved and later on checked and posted. So for that we use the concept of parking. Even we have discussed about parking in earlier sessions. You can revisit that. So if you want to see that is there any parked document for this particular date range, you can even check the same. So suppose I want to see that for the month of April, is there any parked document in the system? So you need to select the company code, the fiscal year, you need to assign the date from and to, and you need to checkbox this parked document part, and now execute the report. So once I execute this report, you can see no list generated. That means there are no parked document. Similarly, suppose I execute this report for a quarter from April to June, and executing the same report again, and now you can see that for a quarter when I executed the report, I found that there is one document which is lying as a parked document in the system. So this is just the way out how you can find out the different parked document in the SAP system as well. So these are some of the day end closing activities which have been taken care in, has to be taken care in the company, so as to ensure that the day end balances, the day end rates are been maintained and there is no problem, and you can close up the day in a good part. So you need to ensure that the daily postings are accounted for proper verification of vouchers with generated reports. So to have a proper verification of vouchers, we do these all activities, that your day end closing activities, your day end goes correct and good. So this is it for the day end closing activity part. Now we'll be moving up with the month end closing activities. So moving up to the next is month end activities. In the month end activity part, we'll be covering the different month end activities like updating the exchange rate, the gaps in document number assignment, invoice number allocated twice. So these are something which we have already discussed in the day end activity part. The other is open and close posting periods, then posting parked documents, bank reconciliation, automatic recurring, automatic clearings, recurring entries. Then in continuation with that is post adjustment entries, foreign currency revaluation, interest calculation, capitalizing AUC assets, depreciation, and then displaying the document journal and financial statements. So let's take up each of these activities one by one. So moving up to the each of these activities, in the first, updating exchange rate and gaps in document number assignment and invoice number allocated twice. These are the three activities which we have already discussed as a day end activity part as well. So we'll not be discussing these first three activities. Now moving up to the next is open and close posting periods. So posting period basically refers to the period in which we post the transactions. So that means the month in which we are making the transactions. Once that particular month, which is referred as period, is over, we need to close that particular period or month, and we need to open the coming month or the next month in the SAP system. So if you don't open the next period, in that case the users in the company will not be able to post a single transactions in the system. So there is a need to open the next period or the next month as the next month approaches, that is the last day or the last day of the last month. You need to open the next period. So if you move up to this part, open and closing posting period in the SAP system, we need to execute the transaction OB52. So when you execute the transaction OB52, as you can see over here, there are different versions been maintained. So your version is something which is 1000 for now, but whatever you assign in your company code, you should know that what is the posting period version which has been maintained. So the posting period version is the one which we do as a basic setting part in the initial customization of the SAP FICO module. So as for the company code 1000 is the posting period variant which has been maintained. So what you need to do is, as we approach the next period, you need to change the period over here in this from and to part. Suppose we are in 2014, so you need to, if you are approaching 2014, you need to change the fiscal year from 2013 to 14, and you need to maintain 1. That is 1 refers to the first period, that is April 2014. So over here now the April 2014 is opened from, and to April 2014 has been opened for the postings. So this is how you need to maintain the posting period. Close. So what I did is I closed the last period, that is 12/2013. I have closed and I have opened a new period, that is 1/2014. Similarly, once the first period comes to an end, what we do is we revisit this transaction and we change the period from 1 to 2 on this side. So in that case, what happens is the period 1 will be open, and at the same time the second period will also get opened. So once I do 1/2014 to 2/2014, that means the first period is open and now the second period is also been opened in the system for posting the transactions. And in case you want to close the period, you can close the period as well. And then you can need to save this, and once it has been saved, your posting period will be changed over here. So in the OB52 period, you need to come to this OB52 screen. You need to know what is your variant, and in that you need to maintain your from and to posting period. So once you approach a new month, you need to extend the posting period to a new period, and in case you want to close the previous period, you need to in the from side you need to close that period. So suppose I want to close the period 1. In that case, I will be making it to 2014 from 2014. That means only the second period will remain open in the system. So this is how you need to maintain the posting period variant in the SAP system. So this is one of an important month end activity which need to be taken care of, because if you don't open a new period on the last day of the last month, in the very next day your business will be shut, because none of your business transactions is being able to post in the SAP system. So it will be a very escalated thing which is very alarming for the company. Now moving up to the next now is post parked document. So as said in the day end activity that we can find out whether a different parked document at the end, at the day end, or maybe at the month end, what are the different parked documents in the system. How we can go for that? As discussed, you have a transaction called compact discount journal. So once you execute this transaction, with this you can find the different parked documents. So you need to take the company code, you need to take the fiscal year, you can take the date, and then you can select the parked document option over here and execute the report. So once executed, you find that this is a document which is parked. That means this has been parked, but it has not yet been posted in the system. That means it has not got any financial impacts in the company as of now. So now what I want is, I want this particular document to be posted in the system. So what you need to do is, you need to take up this document number over here, and you need to go to the transaction FBV0 to post this transaction. So executing the transaction FBV0, enter. So what I would be doing is, I would be taking up the document number over here, and then the company code and the fiscal year 2014. Now I enter on the screen. So as you can see, post parked document. So as I enter, it will take me to the document, the parked document as on the screen, and you can see over here, if you want, you can make the changes to it as you wish to. And once the changes have been done, you can go and you can click onto this post option over here on the header. So as you can see, there is a post option. So once you click onto this post, this particular parked document now will get posted into the system. Okay. Okay. So now click onto the post. Okay. Probably the period is closed. So that is what the concern is. Okay. So now I click onto the post, enter, and you can see now that the document is being posted in the system. So as you can see, the message being generated, the document 10009 was posted in the company code 1000. So similarly, what you need to do is, you need to search the various parked documents in the system as lying, and you need to post those parked documents, or you need to delete those parked documents as not required. So that is another month end activities. which need to be taken care of. Now moving up to the next is complete bank reconciliation. Bank reconciliation, basically we discussed in detail in the banking part, where we need to do the bank reconciling from the company's bank account and the bank account or the bank statement which we receive from the bank side, and in case there are any differences, the reconciliation has to be done. A proper bank reconciliations we have covered in the banking part, for which I would request you that you should refer to the bank reconciliation session, where we discussed how a bank statement can be uploaded with FF67 transaction, and then the reconciliation of banks can be done. So we'll not be covering that over here in detail, because it's a big part which has been covered in the banking, and you can revisit the banking part for bank reconciliation. Moving to the next is automatic clearing. Now there are two ways of doing the clearing, is manual clearing and automatic clearing. As a month-end activity, the organization or the company needs to do their clearing activities part. Whether they do it through manually or through automatic, it's up to them how they want to proceed with the clearing of the various things. So for vendor clearing, we discussed there is a transaction FDES44. Then there is for customer clearing, there is a transaction FDES32. For GL to GL clearing, there is FDES03 is there. So these all different clearings we have discussed in detail when we covered the general ledger accounting, then the vendors accounts payable and accounts receivable. And for all those manual clearing of vendors, customers or ledger account, you can revisit those. Now for the automatic clearing, what happens is, even that we have discussed in an automatic clearing session, if you remember earlier, or you can revisit that. In that, you need to define the rules for clearing, and if the proper rules for clearing has been defined, then the system does the automatic clearing of those customers or vendors or ledger accounts as the rule specifies. So for automatic clearing, we need to execute the transaction F.13, and if we move on to the screen for F.13, as I am executing the report, so you can see over here it shows you the automatic clearing screen, where we need to put the company code, the fiscal year, and then the posting date, from which date to which date you want to do the clearing. Suppose I want to do the clearing for a particular quarter, so I selected the date. Now again, for which part you want to do the clearing, that need to be selected. Whether you want to do the clearing for vendors, or whether you want to do the clearing for customers, or you want to do it for the GL accounts, which of these you want to do the clearing of. So suppose I does the clearing for GRIR account, so I can select my GRIR account over here. You can select the GRIR account, we can search that over here in the system. So suppose I search the GRIR account as it is over here, and I want to do the clearing for this particular GL only. That's it. So what I can do is I can run it in the test run part first. So you need to put these parameters, the company code, fiscal year, posting date, then you need to select the GL, and then you need to run this in a test mode. So once I run this over here, now executing the report in the test run. Okay. Let me change the date. So now, alright, the date, posting date need to be opened. So let me open the posting date. So I have executed the report over here now. As you can see on the screen that the documents which have been reflecting onto green to you are those which are ready for automatic clearing. That means that the automatic clearing rules are being applied and are being properly applicable on these part, but those which are not green, they will not be allowed for clearing. Now the rule says that the purchasing document should be same as over here, and the second thing it says is the debit should be equal to the credit. So that is over here, and the debit should be equal to credit means ultimately the net is equal to 0. So that is over here been matched. So once this has been done, that means you can go for automatic clearing. Similarly, if you go for page down, you will find further more documents to the same as over here on the screen. One more document is there which has got the same purchasing document, and it's been ready for the clearing part. Moving down, even it may be that you may find more of such documents. So the documents which are in green, only those documents can be cleared automatically in the system. But those which are not green, that means they are not, the rules are not properly been applicable to them. So there could be because of the debit is not equal to credit, or maybe the purchasing document are not matched, or maybe the rules are not been followed properly. So if you find that it is okay, you can go back to the same, and you can now move down, and you can take this test run off, and then you can execute it in the background. So what you need to do is you need to take this test run off from over here, and you need to go to the program and then execute in background. So you need to select this execute in background. As I clicked onto this, the system gives a warning message to you that this program run is a production run. So you need to enter on the screen. As I entered, and now a new screen is being generated in front of you. So you need to select your output device over here and then click on to continue. Once it has been done, now we need to go to click on immediate so as to do the automatic clearing immediately. So click on to the immediate, and then moving down you need to click on to the save option over here. So once I click on to the save, as you can see, now a background job was scheduled for program SAP F124. Now this background job is the one which will work your automatic clearing. So all those documents which were been marked green, those documents will get cleared with the help of this job. To have a look of this job, that what does this job does, we need to go to the job. So for that I can go to this system over here, then click on to on job and search for the job program SAP F124. So you can see over here, this is it which need to be checked. So this is the job, refresh it, and this is the one which will does all the clearing activities for you. So as you can see now, earlier it was been released, now it has been active. Active means that the clearing is in process, and now you can see that it has moved to, as I refreshed it again, it has been moved from active to finished. That means now that the clearing activity has been done. So you can select this and you can go to this spool over here and you can check this spool. So this spool will show you all the options. So you can click onto this type, that is the ABAP type, and you will find the list of documents which have been cleared. So you can see over here on the screen, these are the documents which will be cleared on the screen. So this is how you need to do your automatic clearing into the SAP system for all the open items which have the proper rules maintained for them. So that is how we covered the automatic clearing part. Now moving on to the next is recurring entries. Recurring entries basically refers to the entries which occurs on a very everyday basis or every month basis. So means recurring refers to those which happens again and again. So transactions which have the fixed amount, fixed ledger accounts, means the fixed journal entry, just the date needs to be changed. In such a kind of a cases, the recurring entry concept is used. In the recurring entries, what happens, we create a template for the transaction which need to be done again and again. Like for rent, you have got a set of accounting entries, just the date need to be changed because the rent is a fixed amount. Similarly, it could be for lease amount, it could be for interest. So these are certain cases where in a big organizations these kind of entries even are huge. So for repeating those entries again and again, what can be done is a template can be made for those transactions, and those transactions template can be executed again and again just with changing the dates. So that is what the recurring entry concept is all about. So we'll discuss that in detail in the SAP system. So in the recurring entry, we'll be looking after how we create a recurring entry, then how we can change the recurring entry document as per the next month, how you can go for a changing the amount or the date in them, and even if you want, you can display the recurring document with FBD3, then displaying the changes in the recurring document, executing the recurring entry, running batch input sessions, and evaluating recurring entry document. So these are the part of recurring entry which we will be covering in the SAP system now. So let's move on to it.
Now in SAP, some business transactions are repeated regularly every period or quarter, such as rent, insurance, royalties. SAP gives the recurring entry option to make this entry one time and run it every period and have the same financial effect. Recurring entries in the system are only a reference document and has no accounting impact. So what SAP provides is we can create a reference document which is known as a template, and that same template can be used again and again whenever it is needed for every month postings, where in the template your debit and credit entries, your loan number, your amount, everything will already be there. You just need to change the date and you can post that particular recurring entries. The first transaction to create the entry is FBD1. Enter. So once you enter, you can see the screen, enter recurring entry. In this, what you need to do is, first of all, you need to put your company code over here, that is 1200. Now over here we need to put the first run date and the last run date. The first run date means the date from which the first recurring entry is to be carried out. The last run date means the date until which the final recurring entry is to be carried out. Now in this you can have whatever the amount or the period you know that you have to pay for the recurring entries. You can take that much of amount or a gap. Like for example, if you know that the rent you will be paying would be maybe for 2 years, so you can put the 2 years of calculation over here as a first run and the last run. For example, suppose I take as 01112014 till 01102015 for 11 months. So I know that this is the rent which I have to pay from this to this date, and if there is anything else which you know that from an last run date, like for insurance premium, the last run date could be much more larger than this, so you can calculate and you can put that last run date on the system. So the system will take this calculations month on month or quarterly basis as you want till that particular last run date. So you need to first take the first run date, then the last run date. Now the next is to interval in month. So in this you can have a look. Now over here you to decide the date up to until which the final recurring entry is to be carried out. So over here you can decide that whether the recurring entries which will be done monthly, 2 monthly, quarterly, or how. So suppose I pay the rent monthly, so I will be taking the per month over here. So these are the three things which you have to take over here. The next thing you need to take is the document type. So in the document type we take SA because we are going for a GL to GL posting. So SA will be taken as a document type. Otherwise, if you are going for a recurring entry with releasing to a vendor, then in that case you would be taking KA or something else in that. Moving to the next is the currency, that is USD. Now once we have done this, we will be making the entry over here. Posting key. The posting key will be 40 first for debit and 50 for crediting something else. So suppose I take the 40 and I need to select the GL over here. What recurring entry I would be making up? So as of now you can see that there are only 3 GL account for expenses which are there in it. So what we can do is we can create one GL account for expense for rent as well. Go to the new session. FS00 expense, profit and loss, rent account, control data. You have to select the line item display over here. Moving next, the field status group for expense will be G004. Save it. Okay. So every month I will be paying a rent. So the entry for the rent will be, the rent GL will be debited and the bank GL probably would be credited. So with 40 posting key I will be taking rent because 40 posting key is for debit GL, the GL which you want to debit. So we'll be selecting the rent GL over here. That is it. You have taken the rent over here. Now you have filled this first page. Then what we have to do is to enter the screen. It takes me to the next screen over here. We need to put the amount of rent which I would be paying. Suppose I am paying for around $4,000. So we'll be putting up over here as $4,000. You can go to this more transactions for putting the business area. So over here we need to take the business area as well. Now moving next, you can write the text over here. Rent paid for month November 14. Now over here you need to take the 50 posting key which will be credited. So now I am making the payment with the bank. So I will be selecting bank for the credit part. So suppose I take the bank over here on the credit part as outgoing bank, that is Citibank. Has been selected. Enter. Select the amount, $4,000 business area, and the value date. The value date would be 04102014. So this is what you need to take. Now we have filled the debit and the credit part, and we have taken the first run date and the last run date. That is what is important, and the interval on which this particular template need to be processed, has to be taken. That's what we have taken as well. So now we can go to the simulate the document from this tab over here. So you can see the preview of the document over here, and if you find this to be okay, you can go and you can post it over here. So once you post, you find the document number has been generated 9009000. Now this document number doesn't mean that it posts any value to the account. It doesn't post any value to the GL or to the account at all. That is why I just said that this is just a template. It doesn't updates the values, or it doesn't hit the value in any of the GL accounts anywhere else. This is just a template, and on the basis of this template we can post the transactions on month-to-month basis without doing the repetitive work again and again. So now we have completed the first step, that is we have just created the recurring entry, that is the template for the document. Now we'll be moving to the next, that is to display the document, that is FBD3. So we can go back over here /n FBD3 to display this particular recurring entry as been seen. So you can see the transaction, display the recurring entry, enter. You can see the recurring entry which we just posted in the last part is over here on the screen, and in case you want any changes to be done, you can go to the transaction /n FBD2 so as to change. But mind it, you cannot change all of those things. What you can change is you can double click onto the rent or any of the line item, and you can change these things over here. If you want, you can change the amount as well. So it does happen at times that maybe there could be a small amount of fluctuation in the amount in case of royalties, or in case of maybe something else, maybe insurance or something. So in that case, even you can go back and you can use the same template, and you can change the amount and change the text as well. Like I would be paying the rent in the next month, so I would be come back to this particular template. I will be changing this text over here from November to December when I will be paying the December month rent. So I can make those changes over here, and then I can save that particular document, and then I can process that for the business transaction postings. So that is what can be done. So this is how you need to create the recurring entry, and this is how you can change the recurring entry with FBD2, where you can change anything in it. You can change the amount, cost centers, business areas, text, anything in it, because this is a template, and in template anything changes can be done. Even if you want, you can add further things into it as well. Now moving to the next is, now how would we would be posting this particular in the SAP system. So to post the transaction in the SAP system, now we need to go to the transaction code F.14. So when you go to execute F.14 so that we can post transactions into the system, F.1414 executing. So over here we need to enter the document number and the period for which the recurring entry needs to be generated. The session name can be entered manually for easy identification. So over here we need to put the company code 1200. You need to put the fiscal year 12 or 2014. And now in this case over here we need to put the settlement period, for which period you want this particular entry to be done or the transactions to be posted. So suppose I am doing this for the month of November. I would be putting the month of November over here, or I think I did it for November or October. Okay, November 30112014, and then moving to the next. The most important part, you need to put the document number over here. So if you don't know the document number, how can we get it? You need to search that, and then only you can put it over here. So right now it is 9000000, as we know, and this is what you must have to remember it, mind it. So if you don't know, you can go back over here, you can search and you can put it over here. So now once this has been done, you can go for processing it. So you can go and execute option over here. Once you execute this, your transactions will get posted, a batch will be created. So executing the transaction now will generate a batch input session. A batch input session gets created. So now executing this, and you can see over here session SAP F120 was created. This is a batch input session which gets created, that needs to be further processed. So the session which is created at this footnote over here needs to be further processed, either in the foreground or the background, so as to check that there is no error in the processing of the transaction. If processed in the foreground, each line item screen will come up and it is possible to change the values during the posting as well. So let's move on to process this particular batch input session in the system. So for that, you need to go to the transaction code SAP SM35, that is the next transaction, running batch input session SM35. So moving to the transaction /n SM3535, enter. Now once you enter, you can see, you can find your session on the top of the list. You must remember your session name. So we have selected this, and now we can go to process, and this process we can select the first option, that is foreground, so that the screen will keep in front of us, and in case we want to make any changes anywhere, we can even make the changes in them. So click onto the process, and now you can see the screen. So you can see the screen over here. This is the first screen where the first run date is there. Now you can put the posting date is there, and the GL number is coming up over there. Enter. It will take you to the next screen, that is the 40 amount, and the 50 means the credit GL, that is the bank GL. Enter. It takes you to the next. Enter. Keep entering so that the system take you to the next step. So you can see now that the system over here, the message comes is processing of batch input session is completed. So once you get this message without any error, it means your document has been posted successfully by the system. So if you want to see the overview, you can click onto the session overview. So once you click onto the session overview, you will find that the document, that your session is no more reflecting on the screen, because the document has been posted in the system. So this is how your recurring entries get posted into the system. And in case you want to see that what was the recurring entry document number which took place or got posted into the system, we need to go to the general ledger account, that is the GL ledger account with the transaction FBL 3N. So in this, you need to select your GL for which you want to check. So I just processed my recurring entry for rent account, so click onto the rent account, and now I can execute it, and we can see the document has been posted to the rent account. The document is 1000015. The business area is this, and the rent paid for the month of November has been mentioned over here. So this is how the things move. And now the next payment run, next recurring entry run which we will be doing, we will be on 1st of December for the next month rent. So this is how your recurring entry is done. You can do these kind of a recurring entry templates can be created so as to save a lot of time and manpower for any organization. And on the basis of this template, you can process it faster and even it can be automated so that the system can automatically generate and post the transaction if there is no changes. But we always prefer to run it in front of us so that we can check back at once that everything processed is correct. So this is the what we have covered today. That is the day end activities and the month end activities. Even the month end activities have still been left, which we will be covering up in the next training session as a continuing part of it. So we'll see you in the next training session with the continuing of month end activities. Till then, thank you. Take care.